Hey everyone, welcome back to Endless Money Pits. This is my 2000 BMW 328i, and today I'll be showing you how to diagnose and repair a very common issue on these cars. Rainwater leaking into the car through the vapor barrier in one or more of the doors. All four of the doors on my car have become leaky at one time or another, some more than once. The seal usually goes bad after opening up the vapor barrier to replace a broken window regulator, which is another common problem on the E46. Does your car smell moldy? Do the windows fog up whenever it's parked? Have you ever found wet carpets or floor mats in your car? One or more of your vapor barriers might be leaking. To keep the seal in this door from going bad again, I will be using a fresh roll of butyl tape and a heat gun to make sure it adheres well. Here's a simple way to test your doors for leaking vapor barriers. Open one of the doors, then gently spray or pour water onto the exterior glass. Some of the water should make its way into the door and out the drains at the bottom. This is normal. If the vapor barrier has a bad seal, you will eventually see water dripping out from behind the interior door panel. I knew this door was leaking, but I had to spray it with water for about 90 seconds before any water appeared to leak through. Perform this test on all of your doors to verify which ones are leaking. Here are the tools that I used for this job. Plastic prying tool, tiny flathead screwdriver, electric screwdriver, T20 Torx bit, magnetic bowl, painter's tape, heat gun, laser thermometer, plastic scraping tool, and a pair of scissors. I also used a roll of 3M window weld ribbon sealer, which is basically thick butyl tape. Butyl tape is pretty sticky stuff and not easy to handle with gloves, so I recommend having some Fast Orange, Gojo, or something similar ready to wash your hands. We'll start this job by removing anything you have stored in the door panel pocket. Use a plastic prying tool to remove the piece of trim. There are two plastic plugs to remove under the armrest. You'll also need to remove the mirror adjustment switch if working on the driver's door. Now you'll need the T20 Torx bit to remove 5 screws that hold the door panel in place. The screw next to the door handle is longer than the other 4 and may require extra force to remove. Grab your prying tool again and pop the clips around the bottom and sides of the door panel. The door panel should now be hanging from its top edge. Note, be careful not to rip off this connector as you remove the interior door panel. You would need to replace the entire wiring harness for the door. I know this one from experience. Grab both ends of the panel and pull straight out, starting from the end opposite the door lock knob. Pull the panel out just a few inches, then pull the interior door lever to release the cable connection. Now disconnect any speaker wires. You should now be able to put the door panel aside. Lay the wires over the top of the door. If needed, use tape to hold them in place. And here's the problem. For one reason or another, the seal has gone bad and the vapor barrier has pulled away from the door. To remedy this the right way, I'll start by separating the vapor barrier from the door and the used butyl tape. The front corner is still wet from today's rain. Use some masking tape or painter's tape to hold the vapor barrier out of the way. Now I'll start removing all of the old butyl tape that I can by hand. A heat gun will soften up the butyl and make it stickier, but also easier to remove. Note, do not point the heat gun at the foam vapor barrier. It will instantly burn up. This laser thermometer was pretty cheap and comes in handy all the time. I'm looking to get the temperature up to at least 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Now it's ready to start scraping off with a plastic tool. This one was given to me when I worked at Walmart about 10 years ago, but I'll put a link to something similar in the description. Enough of the butyl is removed to leave a smooth surface. Now I'll heat up the metal one last time before applying the new butyl tape. Now that the metal is sufficiently hot, I'll quickly apply the butyl tape. It fits nicely into the groove stamped into the door. Cut the tape to the proper length and press firmly onto the door. You can buy a roller to help with this part, but it didn't seem necessary. You'll want it to run flush with this cutout in the door so water doesn't accumulate and find its way through the seal again. Now I'll heat up the new butyl so the vapor barrier sticks to it better. Get the vapor barrier loosely seated, then press it firmly into the butyl. By now, you'll probably have butyl all over your hands. I recommend using Fast Orange or something similar to clean your hands before reinstalling the interior parts. Much better. You might find that some of the plastic clips in your door panel are broken or missing. They're actually pretty cheap and easy to replace. I'll put a link to some in the description. Now we can get ready to reinstall the door panel. First, reconnect the door speakers. Don't forget to route the mirror control wire through the door. Make sure the door lever is in the closed position. The door lever cable should easily snap into place like this. There are a number of clips along the top of the door that fit into corresponding holes in the door panel. It helps to use the door lock knob as an anchor to line everything up. With the window down, squeeze the door panel onto the door and make sure everything lines up right. Carefully make sure these clips are lined up before pushing them into place. They break very easily. Next comes the screws. Don't forget, the long one goes next to the door release lever. Now reattach the mirror control and push it back into place. Before installing the trim piece, make sure these plastic pieces are lined up with the holes in the door. Also make note of the two prongs at one end. These will need to slide in behind the door lever before pressing the rest of the piece into place. Throw all your crap back in the door panel and we're done. That concludes this week's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. Until next time, just keep throwing money at it.
Twice. I'm going to do it twice for you.